Are you currently experiencing a dark night of the soul where you're questioning whether your life has meaning, purpose, whether your life circumstances are going to stay the same way for the rest of your life, and the pain and suffering are just unbearable? So you're starting to question everything within your life. I've been there and I've experienced that a few times in my lifetime. I'm 53 years old now, and I want to share my personal experience navigating those dark thoughts and feelings in order to transform them and find the inner peace, balance, alignment, joy, and contentment that we are all capable of experiencing in this lifetime. So I don't want this to be a toxic positivity, rah, 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 you can get out of it and it's not you just need to change your mindset. Yes, it is all linked to mindset. However, it's also linked to the fact that we need to be kind and compassionate to ourselves. We need to give ourselves the celebration, the pat on the back for showing up, for making choices, for making decisions, navigating life circumstances that might not be ideal, and doing our very best with the information that we have and with the life experiences that we've had. Because let's face it, we all come into this world as perfect human babies that have got no preconceived beliefs and expectations. We are little sponges absorbing everything from our environment and from our caregivers. But if our upbringing, for whatever reason, was not the joyful and happy experience that some people get to experience in their lifetime, but for the vast majority of us, there are ups and downs and different variations in that. And as a result, we pick up the expectations, the beliefs that other people start imparting on us. And they're doing their very best. So I'm not judging, I'm not criticizing, I'm just articulating that that is just the facts of life. This is what this human experience is all about. But the lessons that we get to learn is that we are vessels of love. We are worthy and deserving to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves, because that's our job, to take care of our needs, to show up for ourselves, set healthy boundaries where we ensure that our energy, our ability to come and for our ability to live from a place of fulfillment, from feeling recharged, being able to show up as our authentic self, not putting on masks and hiding parts of ourselves for fear of rejection, of abandonment, of not being loved, not feeling that we belong, because that is one of the kind of human needs. We want love, we want connection, we want belonging, and we want to feel that we are worthy of existing. And this is where, because of our conditioning, that can actually form our beliefs. And beliefs are simply thoughts that we replay on repeat over and over again until they become programs, they become an automatic reaction and a go-to. As Tony Robbins says, it's what state do you actually gravitate towards? Do you gravitate to one of anger, of disappointment, of sadness, or to one of gratitude, happiness, joy, fulfillment? And for some of us, it's somewhere in between, and sometimes we navigate from one extreme to the other extreme, and that is all fine. But what we need to do is become aware of what we're navigating, becoming aware of what we're actually feeling, and doing the inner work. And by the inner work, what I mean is delving into our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors and patterns, and figuring out, Are those serving me? Are those helpful for me? Are those necessary? And as I mentioned in an earlier video, the think acronym is absolutely vital. When a thought pops into your head, it's asking it from a place of curiosity and compassion, not judging it or criticizing it, but just being curious to figure out, is it actually true what you're thinking? Is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary? Is it kind? And if the answer to all of those questions, or for the majority of them, is no, then it's about challenging it and trying to figure out, well, what is an alternative thought to think? Because our thoughts impact how we feel, which then impacts how we actually behave, act, and the habits that we actually form. Because those, just like our thoughts, that once we repeat them become beliefs, our actions become habits and behaviors that we automatically gravitate towards. So going back to the dark night of the soul, that is where you're looking at your life and where you're currently at. And you realize that what you imagined, what you expected your life to be, and where you're here and you expect to be over here, there is this massive gap between the two. And in order for you to go from where you're at to where you want to be, you need to become a new version of you. And that new version of you needs to think differently, needs to feel differently, needs to behave differently, and acquire new skills, new knowledge, new experiences in order to reduce this gap, and then for you to actually become the future version of you that is living the life that you expect, desire, and want. And as you're navigating this gap, things might change. Where you wanted to end up might be slightly different. You might reevaluate what is important to you, what brings you joy and contentment, and that is fine. This human experience is not cast in stone. There is no one single path that we need to navigate. We have got the choice to change our minds multiple times. That is acceptable, that is permissible, that is allowable. However, we create standards and expectations that it has to be all or nothing, black or white. But there is a lot of nuance, there's a lot of grey, there is a lot of uncharted territory. And that brings up fear, it brings up discomfort, it brings up unfamiliarity. But just like you don't go to the gym once and all of a sudden do one press up and or lift one weight and then you end up with a six pack, it requires consistent incremental action in order for you to repeat, and that repetition creates memory muscle. And that memory muscle enables you to shift the way that you think, feel, and behave, even when you may feel triggered or life circumstances may present you with challenges and obstacles that you need to navigate. And it's easier to go back to autopilot and do what you used to do. But if that wasn't helpful, go back to that think acronym, then you're going to get the same result that wasn't helpful. So instead, you need to change in order to shift the way that you show up for yourself. Because to be blatantly honest, we live with ourselves 24/7. Our job, our responsibility is to take care of ourselves. And by taking care of ourselves, it's taking care of this body that needs to function optimally for us to have the right chemistry and biology happening, for all our organs to perform in its optimal, in order for us to have the energy, the vitality, the clarity of mind to be able to show up and do our very best. Because otherwise, I've used the analogy of a cup. We're almost like a cup, and when our energy is full, we're a full cup. But when our energy gets depleted, we've got less energy, less intention. We react to situations and interactions rather than slowing down, being mindful and intentional with how we respond. So we're coming from a place of kindness and compassion rather than anger, frustration, whatever other emotion might be linked to that trigger that's being presented to us. So going back to that dark night of the soul, where you're questioning, what is your purpose? What is your meaning? What brings you joy? It's all about reconnecting with who you truly are at your core, figuring out what are your core values, what what is this life experience really, what do you desire this to be for you. And even if you don't know what your soul purpose is, there's a number of tools, there's a number of tests that you can actually take to help you navigate that and figure that out. One of my early lessons that I learned back in 2023 was looking back at what you found enjoyable and fulfilling between the ages of 7 and 14. That is an indication of what will bring you joy and fulfillment and contentment in your life. And yes, maybe depending on where you are in your kind of life cycle, you might not be able to go and retrain and go and start a brand new profession. But in other situations, that might definitely be a possibility. For me, I was a qualified accountant for over 25 years, working on large transformational projects, a lot of high pressure stress involved, but at the same time, a lot of human interaction and engagement. And I knew that I loved interacting with people. However, the stress and the kind of monotony of the kind of project life cycle and the constant politics and bickering and all that I didn't enjoy that aspect of it. And as a result, I've pivoted my career. I started this transformation journey to heal myself, to let go of the unrealistic expectations of the past hurt and struggle that I was actually carrying, in order to free myself, lighten my shoulders and my body, to be able to focus on what my needs were, what brings me joy. And I retrained. I've gone and done a clinical hypnotherapy course, a rapid transformational coaching course, a rapid transformational therapy course. There's lots of courses that you can do that can bring you joy and fulfillment. And whether those courses are going to lead to you changing your career and pivoting, or it is just giving you tools and coping strategies and also connection with like-minded people that feel and think and behave in a similar way to you, that can create that connection and belonging that you may be seeking. So we've got within us all the answers. We are immensely resourceful and capable of taking care of all of our needs. And the lesson for me through the dark night of the soul is stop looking for the external validation, because that's what I did for 50 years of my life. I looked externally for other people to tell me that I was a good person, that I was a kind person, that I deserved to be loved. I didn't think that and feel that for myself. And it's taken me to my early 50s to really reconnect with what my core values are, what brings me joy and contentment, and that I do deserve love, and I deserve love from me. Because once you love yourself truly and unconditionally, then you can accept love for the beautiful, wondrous gift that it is. But most of us humans, in our interactions, we're unaware of what we're thinking, feeling, and how that impacts our behaviors and our patterns and our actions. And as a result, we're reacting, we are not intentionally responding, and we're not showing up as our authentic selves. So it's not selfish for us to do this inner transformational work. is absolutely crucial, especially when you are going through dark times where you're questioning the meaning of life, whether life is worth living. And I know that it's easy for me to say now that absolutely, but even through those darkest times, deep down, my intuition, my gut, my connection to divine higher power actually was keeping me aligned to the fact that I needed to navigate those dark times to appreciate the journey that I had been on and the lessons that I had learned, and actually to transform my life and show up for myself in a way that feels aligned, feels peaceful. I feel immense freedom, and that sense of freedom of living life on my terms, I get to choose who I spend my time, my effort, my energy with, rather than seeking to be around people in order for them to maybe push back some kind of sense of kindness and compassion and caring towards me, for then a trickle of it to come through and then for me to potentially reject that as well. So, if you're experiencing a dark night of the soul where you're questioning what is your purpose, what is your meaning, I'm going to put in the description below some tools that I believe are super beneficial for you to really reconnect with who you truly are. Figure out what your core values are, because what you started off with thinking your core values were as you were growing up, they're things that will shift and change because we're never the same version. We've all got more life experience and we bring more baggage or more experience into the mix as we become a later, older version of ourselves. So it's about connecting. What are your core values? So there is a free test that you can do that will tell you what your top core values are. So then you can actually start seeing, is your life, is your lifestyle, your behaviors, your interactions, are they aligned with that? The other tool is looking at your wheel of life, and there's several tools in this space where you can look at your life from a kind of personal relationships, your work, career, your finances, your spiritual or religious kind of connection, how you interact with people, how you interact with your body, your health, your physiology. And in order for you to see where are you on that wheel of life, on a scale of 1 where you're like literally just getting out of bed and that's as much as you can do, to being 10 where you are living in the moment, you're present, you're feeling fulfilled, and you are like really thriving in that aspect of your life, then that will give you some clarity and guidance of what kind of next steps to actually take. Because in some cases, it might be of letting go of the fact that you might have like, you might not enjoy your career, but you don't want to retrain. But there might be hobbies that you can pick up. There could be interactions that you can introduce into your life. If you are a person that doesn't have a lot of people in your life, then you can choose to join groups. Yes, it's going to feel uncomfortable. Yes, it's going to feel unfamiliar. But if you want things to change, if you want to have a different life experience, you need to change. So that kind of gap of where you currently are and where you want to go. So finding what your core values are, finding where you are in the different aspects in your wheel of life. And I also did a kind of 13-week, 90-day challenge on YouTube where it's about reclaiming your authentic you. And as part of that series, I asked a number of coaching questions in order for you to self-reflect. Because, as I've mentioned, we've all got all the answers within us. You're never going to find an answer out there to tell you what you should do or what you shouldn't do. You will get conflicting advice, but nothing is going to be 100% true and accurate unless you do the inner work, unless you do the introspection yourself. Whether you do journaling, whether you just do the work and write it down on a post-it note, capture it somewhere on a vision board, wherever, whatever feels aligned to you, you've got the capacity to transform that uncertainty, that I don't know what my life purpose is, I don't know where I'm heading to transform it into something that is going to make you want to jump out of bed in the morning, that is going to want you to show up for yourself, even if you're not interacting with people on a day-to-day basis, because you may choose. If you're an introvert, you may choose to reduce the interactions with other people and do the things that bring you joy, whether it's watching movies, reading books, doing some courses, meditating, going for a walk in nature, being present, cooking a nice meal, whatever that may be for you. And it's about, you've got the ability to change, and there are resources that will enable you to do that without having to pay for the services of a coach or a therapist. If, however, you feel that you're constantly getting stuck, you're constantly seeking that sense of, I should be doing more, and I'm being critical and judgmental and unkind to myself, the most powerful tool is speak to yourself as if you're speaking to your 5-year-old version of yourself. If that just feels just too jarring for you, just think that you're speaking to a 5-year-old in the supermarket or down the street, that you're speaking to someone that you would show kindness and compassion towards. And then eventually that way that you're talking to that imaginary 5-year-old will result in you being able to talk to yourself with kindness and compassion. Because the lesson that I've learned in my 53 years, and in particular in this past 2.5 years, where I've been really delving deep into why I think and behave and feel the way that I do, is that I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel that I deserved love. I felt that I was being rejected and abandoned at times. And as a result, I created shields and protection to push people away, to not interact in a way that really enabled genuine, authentic connection at times. But we've got the power to love ourselves. And if we start from that place of us loving ourselves fiercely and unconditionally, then we will take the necessary action, the steps to make the changes in our life, create the new habits, the new ways of thinking, behaving, and showing up for ourselves, create that memory muscle. So we bring that joy and contentment and alignment in our life. It is possible. If you have found this content useful, please like and subscribe if you want more content. There's lots of videos on my channel that you can jump in. I'll put some links at the end of this video for what might be most suitable for you. And I just want you to know that life is to be seized, and you've got to enjoy the present moment. And if the present moment is bringing you sadness, bringing you a bit of discomfort, then lean into that and ask the question, why am I feeling this way? What is the underlying thought or belief that's keeping me in this sad and unhappy place? And what can I do to shift and change that? Because we've got the power within ourselves to make that transformation possible. And the other thing that I want you to be fully aware of, that no matter how bleak things are, there's always choices in life. So you get the opportunity every single day to choose wisely, because you've got more experience and you bring more knowledge into each day, so you can choose something different. You don't have to keep choosing the same thing if it's not working for you. So until the next one, Bye.